It was the 80s classic that, for many, is the greatest teen movie of all time. Written and directed by John Hughes, the Chicago filmmaker whose films encapsulated the hopes and fears of a generation, this story of an athlete, a brain, a criminal, a princess, and a basket case ushered in a new wave of Hollywood talent that urged to be taken seriously. 40 years later, not only did Hughes create a movie classic, but one that is still vitally relevant, proving that while times have changed, the trials, tribulations, and triumphs of teendom will forever be the same. In today's Cinephile, Matt's Movie Reviews looks at the making and legacy of The Breakfast Club. To truly understand The Breakfast Club is to know its author, John Hughes. Born in Lansing, Michigan, Hughes and his family moved to the Chicago suburb of Northbrook when he was 13 years old, and it was during these formative years where Hughes would not only fall deep in love with film, but also with his new home of Chicago, which will be a permanent fixture in his films. After working as a copywriter for the Leo Burnett advertising agency, Hughes would go on to work for National Lampoon's magazine as an editor and writer. This led to Hughes writing the screenplay for National Lampoon's Vacation, which would star Chevy Chase and become a box office hit in 1981. Hughes would strike box office gold again with his screenplay for Mr. Mum, which was directed by future Oscar winner and former Happy Day star Ron Howard and starred Michael Keaton in his first lead role. Hughes turned down the opportunity to direct Mr. Mum due to his strong dislike of Hollywood. Said Hughes in a 1984 interview with Roger Ebert, "I don't like being around the people in the movie business. In Hollywood, you spend all of your time having lunch and making deals. Everybody is trying to shoot you down. I like to get my actors out here where we can make our movies in privacy." That place was, of course, Chicago, with the fictional town of Shermer the setting for many of Hughes' teen tales. The first of those was a script Hughes wrote in 1982 named Detention, which told the stories of 5 teens from 5 different social groups who are confined to the library of Shermer High for a single Saturday. According to producer Adam Fields, Hughes first wrote Detention as a play, yet after Fields sternly reminded Hughes that we're in the movie business, Hughes changed direction and also changed the name of the script to The Lunch Bunch. Hughes would then change the title again to The Breakfast Club after picking up the phrase from a friend's teenage son. Hughes made a deal with A&M Films to direct The Breakfast Club, for which he secured a $1 million budget. Hughes, however, became anxious about making his directorial debut with an ensemble teen drama that had the potential to bomb at the box office. With this in mind, Hughes focused on writing a teen romantic comedy titled 16 Candles, about a Shermer teen whose family forgot her 16th birthday. With 16 Candles a success, a more confident Hughes would forge ahead with The Breakfast Club as his next movie. Vital to the success of the film was finding the right actors to play the 5 teens from 5 different social cliques sharing a Saturday detention. First on Hughes' list was a 16-year-old Molly Ringwald as Claire, the princess of the group. Ringwald was described by many as Hughes' muse, and he wrote the role of Claire and Sam in 16 Candles specifically with her in mind. Said Ringwald in a 2010 interview with the New York Times, "I had total confidence in that script, I would say more than any other project that I made with him. Claire was so different from the way that I saw myself, and more the way I saw my older sister, because my sister was very popular. She was what they called a sosh at her school." For the role of Brian, the Brain, Hughes again went with a familiar face in Anthony Michael Hall, who had also starred in 16 Candles and in National Lampoon's Vacation. Emilio Estevez was cast as Andrew, the athlete of the group, who was originally written as a football player, yet due to Estevez's smaller size, the role was rewritten as a wrestler. Estevez, who is the son of famed actor Martin Sheen, made a name for himself in Francis Ford Coppola's The Outsiders and was cast for his all-American vibe. In the role of Allison, the basket case, was Ali Sheedy, who previously starred in War Games alongside Matthew Broderick. Sheedy has said that the character of Allison looked and acted the way she felt inside throughout high school. Numerous actors were considered for the role of criminal John Bender, including 16 Candles star John Cusack and Nicolas Cage. It would be Judd Nelson who was cast in the role, with casting director Jackie Birch describing Nelson of having an innate cool. Nelson took to his role of Bender with intense focus, going so far as attending a local high school while in character. Said Nelson in a 1985 interview with NBC Today. "We rehearsed outside of Chicago and I went to an actual high school in the area, attended classes and was a quiet corner observer. I was dressed like John with the hair and the clothes so that the kids in the school would treat me the way that they would treat a character like John, which was with a great deal of condescension. Again, it was great to get the sense of oppression that I think runs rampant in public high schools. Deans in the hallways, hall monitors, principals telling you what to do every second." Playing the role of domineering Vice Principal Vernon was Paul Gleason, who was cast in the role after Hall and Hughes watched him in Trading Places. Initially tapped to play the role of Carl the janitor was Rick Moranis, as Universal Pictures wanted a bigger name on the film, and Moranis had just starred in Ghostbusters. Moranis' insistence on playing the role in a broad comedic style with a Russian accent clashed with Hughes' own interpretation of the character. Moranis was then replaced with actor John Capellos. Cast in the role of a gym teacher was Karen Late Hopkins. Hopkins had shot a pivotal scene in the film where her character delivers a speech to the 5 teens that reminds them, "This is just a small part of your total life story." Hopkins, however, was cut from the film, although there is some confusion as to why. According to Ringwood, Universal Pictures wanted The Breakfast Club to be more of a Porky-style teen film and asked Hughes to include a scene where Vice Principal Vernon spied on a gym teacher when she was naked, only to be caught by the janitor. Ringwald would convince Hughes to get rid of the scene as she felt it didn't belong in the film, subsequently resulting in the character being removed altogether. Hopkins herself would go on to state that her character was never created as a source of titillation, but rather to bridge the gap between the students and the establishment. Birch would later bring some clarity to the situation in a 2015 interview with the Huffington Post, stating, "There was another girl cast as a gym teacher, and I don't know if Molly didn't think it worked or what, but they got rid of her. That was devastating for that actress, but she went on to direct movies. Behind the scenes, Molly had John's ear." Filming for The Breakfast Club commenced in March of 1984. The recently closed Maine North High School near Des Plaines, Chicago, was converted into a movie studio. A 2-level high school library was constructed in the gymnasium, while other rooms in the school were used as a production office, dressing rooms, makeup rooms, and smaller sound stages. The amount of lighting used in the gymnasium resulted in the upstairs portion of the library, where most of the cast and crew will congregate between scenes, sometimes will rise in temperature from 95 to 110 degrees. This would result in some of the crew falling asleep and snoring, ruining the sound during takes. Hughes encouraged his cast to improvise and add their input, and will change the script to fit in their suggestions. The David Bowie quote at the start of the film, for example, was suggested by Sheedy. Nelson, however, almost got fired after his method acting approach went a little too far. Said Ringwald in a 2010 interview with the New York Times, "Judd Nelson almost got fired. He was doing this sort of method actor thing, I think, and he was being very provocative with me, making jokes. I think he made some sort of blind joke and my dad was blind. He was just trying to get under my skin, like Bender tries to get under Claire's skin. It really didn't bother me, but John was extremely protective of me and it just infuriated him. And he almost fired him, and we all banded together and really talked John out of firing Judd. He really made us seem like a real group." After a 32-day shoot, Hughes shot more than 1 million feet of film. An initial director's cut came in at 2.5 hours. Universal Pictures convinced Hughes to edit the film significantly, with the final runtime coming in at 97 minutes. The deleted scenes included a trippy dream sequence involving Allison, Vice Principal Vernon peeping at the gym teacher, an extended romance scene between Claire and Bender, and more insight into Bender's physical and psychological abuse. Before Hughes passed away, he stated to have the only copy of this extended director's cut. A savvy marketing campaign produced now iconic moments in pop culture history. A simple yet effective theatrical poster, photographed by the acclaimed Annie Leibovitz, features the 5 actors front and center with the tagline, "They were 5 total strangers with nothing in common, meeting for the first time. A brain, a beauty, a jock, a rebel, and a recluse." Then there was the hit song "Don't You Forget About Me" by Scottish new wave band Simple Minds that became an anthem for 80s teens who were further inspired by the image of a fist-pumping Judd Nelson. Written by Steve Schiff and the Breakfast Club soundtrack producer Keith Forsey, "Don't You Forget About Me" was first offered to the likes of Billy Idol and Chrissie Hynde before a reluctant Simple Minds agreed to do the song. The Breakfast Club released in US theaters on February 15, 1985 and made $51.5 million at the box office, ushering in a new generation of young movie stars and setting the tone for 1980s teen movies and culture. Despite strong box office and acclaim from film critics, it didn't take long for the stars of the Breakfast Club to face backlash from the media, particularly from one David Bloom, whose article "Hollywood's Brat Pack" in New York Magazine coined the Brat Pack tag that followed many of John Hughes' actors for their whole careers. Many fans of the Breakfast Club, however, have changed the narrative of the Brat Pack term as one of affection, with the Breakfast Club enduring as a teen drama that has moved generations of movie fans. Said Ali Sheedy in a behind-the-scenes documentary, "Around 10 years after Breakfast Club came out, I felt like, was this movie never going to go away? I mean, I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to do that, I'm trying to grow up as an actress. But now I'm very comfortable where I am. I like it. I like that I have a daughter who's never seen a movie I've been in, but I think she's going to like this one when she sees it." Thank you for watching the Matt's Movie Reviews channel. Please subscribe for more reviews, podcast interviews, and exclusive content.